Unforgettable is a word that was used earlier, and got to agree with that. And Australia was represented in the Queen's funeral procession. 39 members of the Defence Force took part in the final march today, and joining us live here to talk about it now is Commodore Ray Leggatt. Commodore, good to see you. Thanks for your time this morning. So you swept around behind us earlier today as part of your journey. I mean, a few different questions I want to ask you all. First of all, let's talk about the march and how you think it went.
Look, I was very proud. You mentioned the 39 members, and I was so proud of them, what they achieved today. They've worked so hard, and I think they did the country proud and the ADF proud. And I see it as the final duty that they did for Her Majesty the Queen, and they performed that exceptionally well. And it was a very long day. They started at around about 2 o'clock in the morning, so it was a long and a very emotional day. So when you add that in, they performed extremely well. So very proud of them. They did their country and the ADF and Her Majesty very, very proud.
Well, they certainly did. And she was a Commander-in-Chief of this nation, but was it brought home as well for you because we've fought side by side in so many wars together?
Well, she's had that special relationship. She did, 16 visits to Australia, and the Australian Defence Force was very much involved in each one of those visits. And when I think about, I was thinking about this, I was getting my uniform ready. I've got the crown on my buttons, and the crown on my cap badge, and so do, every member has that sort of special relationship. And the groups that were marching there today were part of those 7 organisations that have that special relationship with Her Majesty. So, and she was always, very fond of the military.
Take us in there. Take us in there in your mind. What do you think? Huge crowds today. It was absolutely phenomenal. I mean, yeah, just describe that feeling that you had while you were marching for Australia with all of that going on.
Well, for me, there was 2 really poignant moments. The first, after we came out of the Abbey after the beautiful service, and then we formed up to march, ready to march down Whitehall, right behind the Royal Marine Band. And that's when I saw that huge crowd, as you mentioned. But what really struck me was the silence of the crowd. And then it was just the music of the band playing the funeral music, the tolling of the bell from Big Ben, and the gun salute. And that was, really brought that sombre atmosphere and the sadness. You could feel the sadness in that crowd. The second moment, which had the impact on myself, was when we were finished, or towards the end of the march, at the end of the march at Wellington Arch. We were formed up and we were only 20 metres away from where the gun carriage stopped, and the coffin was transferred to the state hearse. And then all the members of the royal family then went into their cars, and you could see, the grief on their faces. So that's the other aspect. So you could feel the grief of the nation through the crowd, and then see that family impact as well. So
and what is going through your mind at that point? You've got a sense of duty, but I imagine that also gives you a bit of time for reflection and reverence yourself.
Well, certainly. I mean, it was very much a sense of duty and wanting to do it right. And I think that was certainly everyone felt that today. They wanted to do, as I said, do that last duty for Her Majesty. But it also did make me again reflect on that special relationship of, I've been in the Navy for more than 35 years. Every formal dinners we've always toasted the Queen, and we've had that very close relationship. So to be part of that service, he's played a strong part of that service for me. So that was a key part of reflection as well.
What about in the actual state funeral inside Westminster Abbey? Just describe some of that for us. The rendition of God Save the King in there, the last post in there, the 2 minutes of silence, and really poignant moments.
Again, the 2 minutes of silence had the impact, because literally, generally sometimes there's a silence. It's not really silence, but you could have heard a pin drop. And then, it's the first time for more than 7 decades, I guess, that the God Save the King was sung, and that's the first time I'd heard it. So it was something quite different. And then, as I mentioned previously, it was just the amount of royal families, royal members, heads of states, it was just astounding, the number of people. I don't think you'll ever
heads
see
of
again.
states, but also our Victoria Cross recipients.
Yes.
in
Yeah.
Keith Payne and Trooper Mark Donaldson. They had a huge role.
Yes, they did.
They met the Queen a number of times, and there's the George Cross recipients as well. But they had pride of place. There's Keith Payne right there, and you'll see Mark Donaldson there on the left as well. And following in behind them is the US president.
US president,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, and they were close, weren't they? They had almost pride of place up
They
there.
did.
Yeah.
They did.
You were talking yesterday about the speed that you had to go. This is the last question here. You had to go 75 steps a minute.
Yes.
You got through that okay?
Got through that okay. As I said, our normal rate of march is 120 beats per minute.
Okay.
This was 75, and you don't swing your arms. So, but as I said, everyone was very focused. It was far better than the rehearsal was.
Yeah.
Thank goodness we had that rehearsal, but
Yeah.
we were in step right from the start and the whole way.
Yeah.
and,
I
It's
was
like us. We
yeah.
always find live television better than any kind of pre-record.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
So
you're better
the
on the
same thing.
day. On the day, yeah. I mean, I was there just at the start of it, out the front of Westminster Abbey, and the bagpipes came through, and then the sailors came through, pulling the gun carriage, and it was a feeling.
it is.
It
That's
was a feeling.
again. That's those sailors pulling that gun carriage is just incredible. Again,
Yeah.
that just gives you that incredible feeling of the service. And I like to think one of our values we have in the Australian Defence Force is service, and the epitome of service to me is what Her Majesty did for over 7 decades.
Well, we're all proud of your service, and proud of your efforts out there today as well. You did the country proud, and appreciate you spending some time with us this evening, Commodore.
Great,
Thanks,
thank
Commodore.
you. It was
Really
so good
appreciate
to
it.
represent all Australians.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.